I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. It is 7 p.m. Could we have roll call, please?
Chris Brown?
Here.
Rob Cruz?
Present.
Amy Grantham?
Here.
Nancy Hopper?
Present.
Katie Jess?
Here.
John Proudy?
Here.
Melissa Smith?
Present. Could you all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, you have in front of you the previous minutes from August 7th. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown?
Aye.
Rob Cruz?
Aye.
Amy Grantham?
Aye.
Nancy Hopper?
Aye.
Katie Jess?
Aye.
John Proudy?
Aye.
Melissa Smith?
Aye. Next up in front of you, you have the agenda. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown?
Aye.
Rob Cruz?
Aye.
Amy Grantham?
Aye.
Nancy Hopper?
Aye.
Katie Jess?
Aye.
John Proudy?
Aye.
Melissa Smith?
Aye. And now we have special presentations. First up, I'm very excited for 2023-2024 administrators and certified staff introductions. And who's doing that?
If you are new to the district, just step on up here and introduce yourself. Well, you had something there for name and,
Yes, what we would love to hear from you is your name, what school you're teaching at, your assignment at that school, your teaching experience, and where you're from, whether you want to say where you're originally from, where you just came from, if you live down the street, whatever you want to tell us would be great. So step on up.
I have a really good story.
Just
on
make
that.
a line. Oh, this is nice. Okay. Hi, I'm Nina Luark. I'm at Fort Morgan High School. I teach ninth grade English. I taught English in China for 2 years, and I grew up in Texas.
Very nice.
Nice to meet you. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Sam McKinley. I'm at Fort Morgan High School. I'm teaching social studies. This is my first year teaching, and I'm from Colorado Springs, Colorado.
If you want to, you can move.
Hi, I'm Ty Davies. I am new admin at the high school. I'm very excited about it. I think this is my 16th year in education, and this will be my 11th year here in Fort Morgan. So, thank you.
Back to football.
Hi everyone, I'm Jamie Cosman. I'm the new GT coordinator for the district. I'm very excited. I was at Green Acres for 4 years, so I've been with the district 4 years, and I've actually graduated from Fort Morgan High School, so I'm born and raised in Fort Morgan.
Hi, I'm Zaira Leoveras. I am teaching at Fort Morgan Middle School, teaching 7th grade ELA, and I'm from the Philippines. This is my 8th year in education, my first year here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Galen Thompson. I am the Director of Technology for the District Support Center. This is my 12th year as a Director of Technology. I'm originally from Southern California, and I'm really looking forward to an exciting year. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bridget Ubalia. I'm teaching ELA at Fort Morgan Middle School. This will be my 7th year in field of teaching and first year here in Fort Morgan. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm from the Philippines.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Saucedo. I'm teaching 3rd grade at Columbine. This is my 9th year teaching, and I'm from Brush.
Thank you.
I'm Melissa Stalker. I'm at Fort Morgan Middle School, 6th grade ELA. I am from northeastern Pennsylvania, and this is my 25th year teaching. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kim Gonzalez. I'm at Columbine, first grade dual immersion. This is my 14th year of teaching, and I came from Alamosa, my first year here in Fort Morgan.
Thank you.
I'm Matt Stalker. I'm one of the new assistant principals over at the middle school. This is my 25th year teaching all around the world and in Colorado and Hawaii and wherever else. And we're just excited to be here.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I am L.A. De Los Santos, special education resource teacher from Pioneer Elementary School. It's my 9th year teaching professionally, and I'm from the 7,614 islands of the Philippines.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I am Lorene Punsalan. I am from the Philippines. I teach 8th grade literacy at Fort Morgan Middle School. So this is my 7th year of teaching. Thank you and good evening again.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Becky Watson. I'm at the Fort Morgan High School. I'm teaching freshman English, and this is my first year teaching. I'm from Shatter, Nebraska.
Hello, I'm Chris Albo. Recently came from Brush. I was there the past 7 years. I've lived in Pueblo, Fort Collins, born and raised in the La Junta area. So glad to be here. I'm excited to teach the middle school, special education. Thank you.
Thank you.
Without me. I'm Elise Einsbar. I'm teaching at the high school Family and Consumer Science. I'm doing mainly the culinary classes. I'm originally from Nebraska, and we just moved from Fleming.
Tyler Heath. I'm at Fort Morgan Middle School. I'm teaching 7th grade literacy. I've had 11 years of teaching experience, and I'm from Tennessee. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you.
Hi there. Colin Waugh. I'm over at the high school teaching freshman world geography from a bunch of different military bases all over the Pacific and Atlantic. If you count a ton of substitute teaching, then I'd say this is my 2nd year teaching.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Nolan Meyer, born and raised in Fort Morgan. I think this is my 22nd year in education, if I'm right, and my first year as a assistant principal at Fort Morgan Middle School.
Good evening, everyone. Ryan Einspar, returning to Fort Morgan High School, where I will be a school counselor, again, for the freshman and sophomore class. This will be my 9th year in education from Fleming, Colorado, but with my wife and my 2 children, we just moved to the area this year. Excited about the year.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Thank you.
I'm Chad Unrein. I've been here 21 years in the building at the middle school. Technically, I am from Brush, but my parents had the sense to send me to Fort Morgan when I was little. And I live in Brush now, and I send my kids, so we have a good sense. But been here all my life, and it's good to be back.
Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Liz Tabay. It's my first year at Green Acres as a 5th grader. And one of my students is actually here, so I'm so glad to be here. And I'm from Cebu, Philippines. And here are my group.
Hello, good evening to each and everyone. My name is Lorna Almera A. Magbuhos. I'm handling 4th grade here. And it's my first time here in Pioneer Elementary School. And I've been teaching in Philippines 3 years in private school and 23 years in government. And I'm already 47, but I'm short. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Michelle B. Arsenal. I'm teaching at Pioneer Elementary School, 2nd grade, and it's been my 13th year in the service. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Guadaline Serban. I am a grade 4 teacher in Green Acres Elementary School. I have been teaching in the Philippines for 11 years. This is my 12th year. I came from Cebu, Philippines. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am Suzette Libre. I am teaching 4th grade at Pioneer Elementary School. This is my 13th year in teaching, and then I came from Philippines. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lady Marie Bonganciso. I've been teaching kindergarten for 10 years in the Philippines. Now this will be my 11th year of teaching, and now I'm teaching 3rd grade in Green Acres Elementary. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Noelia Araya. I am from Costa Rica. I work as a dual immersion teacher at the middle school with 7th graders, and I am so excited to be starting this new school year, and I hope to do the best.
Thank you. Very nice. Right, a hand to all of our. Now, we, the board, are more than happy to have you stay for the meeting. It's hopefully going to be a shorter one tonight, but we also understand if you have other commitments and need to leave now. You've done what you had to do. Thank you all.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't understand.
Thank you.
Okay, next up on special presentations, we have Mrs. Tara Boyer and Mrs. Esther Cooley for telling us about the Early Learning Ventures funding opportunity.
So I'm Tara Boyer. I'm the principal at Sherman, and I am the youngest administrator in the district. It's got to be true. No.
If you say so, it makes it so.
Right, exactly, if I say so. This is Esther Cooley. She's the director at the Children's Center. So tonight we're here to let you know of an opportunity that we have for the Children's Center. And I'm here because, of course, the Children's Center falls under Sherman. So anyway, so what this funding opportunity is, well, first, let me back up. This spring, the Sherman Preschool and the Children's Center both received higher quality ratings, which we've both been working hard on. The Sherman Preschool received a rating of 2, and the Children's Center received a rating of 4. Now, to receive these quality ratings, some of the things that go into it are getting on a website for the quality rating and entering all your information, and that takes quite a bit of time. There are some training requirements for staff and also environment quality assurances. So when the programs receive higher ratings, it opens up the programs for additional funding opportunities. And right now, there is a lot of funding out there for early childhood education. So one of the funding opportunities that the Sherman Preschool has been opened up for is, it comes through the Morgan County Partnership. And so we're taking advantage of some of those opportunities. One of the ones that we specifically wanted to discuss this evening was an opportunity that the Children's Center, having achieved a rating of 4, is eligible for, and it's a federal fund that comes to our infants and toddlers. So that's under the age of 2 and under, correct? So this funding opportunity comes, again, from the federal level. It comes through not Morgan County Partnership, but Early Learning Ventures. And they, so there are some quality assurances that the program has met, some training requirements that the program has met, and it's open for qualifying families in our community who have infants and toddlers in the program, and it will help pay for a various number of things, one being tuition, one being diapers, while the kids are in the care of the program, and formula also that's used while the students are in the program. So that is the funding opportunity that we wanted to bring before the board. I believe in your board packet is the contract that we would sign, and we sign it with Early Learning Ventures. They are the, yeah, there it is. They're the entity that contracts with the federal government for these funds. So we would go through them. That's all. It's short and simple.
And when you became a school principal, you never thought in your life you'd have to talk about diapers, right?
Exactly. Thank you for recognizing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the presentation.
Anyone have any questions?
No, I just have a comment. If you've never done this, go work over in the Early Childhood Center when they're having a fire drill. I have never in my life seen as many cribs get rolled out with babies in them in my life. Didn't even know that happened. So that's an experience y'all all need to do. Right? Right.
So the federal funding flows through Head Start, is that what it is? Head Start funds ELV, who's funding us?
Well, Head Start is the one who contracts with Early Learning Ventures. So we're working directly with Early Learning Ventures.
Thanks for explaining that. Yeah. Anything else? Thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay, I lost my place. Next up, we have opportunity for audience. Anyone? Ever?
No. Very seldom.
Still no.
Still no.
Still no. All right. Next, under reports, we have with us tonight Kenya Hansen Guzman as our Fort Morgan High School student representative. So, Kenya, we would like for you to tell us a little bit about yourself, what maybe your plans are for senior year in the future, beyond senior year, and then give us a report. We would also like you to know that not only do we want to hear reports from you, but we would love to have your input on any of the subjects that we're discussing. We want to know the student's perspective, and you are representing that. So, Kenya.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. My name is Kenya Hansen Guzman. I am a senior at Fort Morgan High School. I am the new high school representative for the school board. My plans for senior year and on, I'm focusing on STEM. I want to go pre-med, hopefully become a doctor, physician of some sort. That I don't know yet, but I have time. Lots of school. And as far as the high school goes, obviously, school just started. Last Tuesday was Freshman Connection, so that's the first day for all freshmen. All the freshmen came in, and it was just a day for them to really get familiar with the high school, get familiar with the new schedule, stuff like that. And it was, I was a Freshman Connection leader, and I thought that went very well. Last Wednesday, the 16th, was the first day of school for everyone, and you could tell everyone was super happy to be back, and the new schedule was really nice. And then last Thursday was the Booster Club picnic. So every year the Booster Club puts on a picnic for all the student athletes, and it's a really great experience for not only all the athletes to come together, but for us to celebrate what the Booster Club has done for us, and for all the classes to have like a friendly competition. Tomorrow, Tuesday the 22nd, is the very first boys soccer game. They're playing at Liberty Common, varsity at 4:30, JV at 6. Or they're playing versus Liberty Common, my bad. They're here. And as well, the girls volleyball have their first match tomorrow, also here versus Sterling, C at 4:30, JV at 5:30, and varsity at 6:30. Cross country has a meet this Saturday at Severance. Next Monday is the 28th. That is the boys golf JV and V varsity tournament, and that starts at 9, and that's in Fort Morgan. Tryouts for the fall play are also next Monday, the 28th, and we are doing Alice in Wonderland, so it should be a really good one. I'm really excited. Next Thursday, the 31st, is the first home game for the football boys. It is Brush and Fort Morgan, so that should be a really good home opener, and I know there's a lot of things that like Spirit Club has planned, and it should be really good because of the whole Brush-Morgan rivalry. And then the last thing I have to talk about is Homecoming Week. This year, Homecoming Week is from the 11th to the 16th. Monday is Powder Puff, so all the girls are playing football. Tuesday is the big volleyball homecoming game, and Rough and Tough, so the boys will be playing volleyball. And then Wednesday is the annual Homecoming Carnival, as well as the bonfire. Thursday is the boys have a golf tournament at home. And Friday is the pep rally and the football game versus Pueblo. And then Saturday is homecoming. So it should be a fun month. I'm really excited for it. Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. Thank you. Next up, we have the superintendent's report. Mr. Sanders?
Board report.
Nah, board doesn't need to report. Next, we have board report. Does anybody on the board want to report anything? Okay, Mr. Sanders, you're up, superintendent report.
Okay, so there's a couple things that have added since this went out, but I just want to comment on the first week of school. First couple of weeks, I think training went extremely well. I think I heard some pretty decent feedback for us going from one school to the next. It was kind of fun, actually, to kind of go and see people in their own environment and having people there to welcome them in. A little bit different, but we'll look and see if we'll do it again the same way next year. But one of the things we talked about was the fact that this is a new year and a new schedule, and teachers were here Monday and worked all day, and then they were here longer days on Tuesday through Friday, and they're all troopers. They hung in there. They did a great job, and even in two buildings where we had air conditioning down, and we're hoping that that gets up real soon, both Sherman and the middle school. But in the end, we talked about, while last week was busy, I don't think anybody was complaining today. So, yeah. So anyway, it was a great first week of school. Looking forward to keeping that momentum going. Next week, we have our CASB over out in Marino and then I've got a vehicle. Whoever wants to go with me, we're going to leave at 3:30 from the parking lot out here. And then we got all our stuff for the CASB convention. It's December 7th through 9th this year. We've registered for it, and if anybody cannot make it, let us know so we can cancel. And so that's been taken care of. And then tonight, we met with our attendance committee for a training to get them ready to start doing. So every second Tuesday of the month, they'll come here to the District Support Center from 8 to 10, where they'll hear stories about truancies and try to help our kids get back into school and try to help our families help their kids get back into school. And it was really a really pleasant meeting, had a nice turnout, and just really excited about the possibility of that being something to bring all the resources together in our community to be able to see what we offer and to provide as much support to the kids of our community as we can, and families. So that's my report, unless you have any questions.
And kindergarten starts tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just be forewarned about that area.
Oh, yes, just.
I'll be there sometime, not tonight.
Sounds like chaos.
That's why I'm saying stay away.
Okay, next up, we have the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Assessment, Dr. Praskow.
Just a couple things to report on. I know you've been waiting with bated breath for state assessment scores to come out, and like every year, I have to explain, they roll achievement, then they roll growth, and then you wait a little bit longer to wait to get the school performance frameworks and district performance frameworks. Those are slated to be preliminarily released later this week, but I wanted to highlight just a couple things. I understand Mr. Sanders sent you, they're quite large documents, especially the achievement one. I just wanted you to see overall by school, but I always wait for the growth, which went to the state board last week. So if there's a website here linked in the board docs, and actually checked this today because usually they don't release the 2023 stuff until after school performance frameworks. So this is a tool that you can actually go to our district. You can go and you can switch by school across the top to look at not only enrollment and demographics, academic achievement, academic growth. You can look at post-secondary and workforce readiness. All of these factors weigh into our school and district performance frameworks. The nice thing, and you can't necessarily see the colors grayed up on the screen, but just for reference, you can click by where the state accountability ratings are. So this yellow line right here is where improvement lands. The green line is where performance lands, and this is distinction, kind of the highest level. And so by school level, or if you click by school, you can actually see kind of where those are going to line up. Again, it's like a calculation based on a percentage of points. So at the elementary, it's 40% based on academic achievement. And then at the academic growth is 60%. So growth does matter more than achievement when it comes to highlighting. You can look year over year to see how schools have trended across the levels on school performance frameworks. And of course, note that during COVID, it was crazy. And one thing to just highlight about growth, I also added in this 10-page document about sometimes it's confusing when you think about median growth percentile. And the state during COVID times kind of changed what they were looking at cohort. This is their traditional approach, is cohort growth. But during COVID, they changed it to have a baseline growth because it was not super comparative in thinking about growth during a pandemic. So the state is kind of going back to cohort reference growth, and I'm not going to read this to you. I mean, it's linked in there if you want to, and if you ever want to talk to me about it, I'm happy to discuss it. But if you notice on the dashboard, you can actually click between cohort referenced growth and baseline growth on there so you can see kind of the difference. One, just a super big highlight, and I was trying to look for a growth percentile that I ever saw as high as I did this year. 5th grade Baker math had a median growth percentile of 76.5. I actually went back and checked my spreadsheet, to be honest, because I thought, well, maybe I transposed a number just because it was super high. That is amazing, so we're gonna have to really pay attention to what's happening, especially at that school. But just know that once performance frameworks are released, we will have a time like we did last year if we want to have a request to reconsider for some reason and we feel like we have localized data that would help us move up a level or bump up a level. It's really hard to tell right now kind of where things will land, but overall, if you have questions at all, but the next board meeting we'll be talking about those school performance frameworks, and then alongside that is mid-October, our unified improvement plans are due to the state, and so you will be approving those toward the end of September to be uploaded to the state. They're all due this year unless you have a newly identified rating. So let's say one of our schools drops a rating, more than likely they wouldn't improve a rating and then wait to do their unified improvement plan. In that case, they would have to have them done in mid-January, but we'll just kind of wait it out and see. Questions about assessment? The only other thing I had to talk about was wellness. So I think very few times the state approaches you with writing a grant on your behalf. CDE doesn't usually do that. You're usually the one saying, hey, let's go for some money. So they had contacted me, I don't know, in maybe early summer. They wrote a grant with the CDC for healthy schools. And so we did get, it's for sure guaranteed for 1 year, and we know that when you fill a position for 1 year, that's basically what it is, it's just grant money. But we're super excited that we have Beth Carpenter, who just joined our team last week, and she's 0.8, and so that's basically for salaries, or salary and very little other wiggle room, kind of like we had other wellness money that was a lot more of a big bucket, but she'll be working pretty closely. There's a gal coming from CDE actually this week yet to meet with Beth and myself. Beth's at a conference right now that was waitlisted nationally for food and mood, put on by CDE. And so the whole goal around CDE writing the grant on our behalf was really about our student population and food scarcity and thinking about like what we're doing for students around wellness. I mean, staff ties really nicely into that, but she'll be really looking at our systems and working with the state on, there's a scope of work that they put together, and it's really around just looking at wellness. So it'll be a great addition for this upcoming year. Questions?
Okay, next up, we have the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, Mr. Fresco.
Good evening. Not a lot on the report. You've got the personal action report in front of you guys. If you have questions related to that, we've had a little bit of movement since the last meeting, just some resignations that we didn't anticipate from the classified side, some additional hires there. But that's kind of been fairly stable. Current summary of openings we have 2 certified positions that are open. We have 19 classified open, and then 5 coaching. We've had some recent movement of special education students to our district requiring some one-to-one aids. So we've had to add a few positions as a result of that to meet those needs. And so that's why that number's went up a little bit since the last meeting. The other thing I have for you guys is certified classified sick bank. We're starting to anticipate that we'll have some requests come in with the recent negotiations supporting maternity leave. The language in the agreements requests that the association provide 2, the board appoint 2, and then we agree upon 1. And so if the board would like to have some discussions around who they would like to represent on those committees, that would be appreciated. We're getting ready to kind of start those discussions. I can't find a recent committee as of last year. A couple years ago, I do see that there was a board member on that committee. So
I'm on that committee.
Okay.
So
thank you.
I'll try to remember who the other people are, but.
Okay, and I'll keep looking too.
I think Michael's on it, isn't he? Chris? Michael Barkley's on it.
Could be.
Yeah.
I have reached out to both associations as well for the representation. Well, so similar to that is the educator effectiveness and the 1338 committee. Again, pulling that together, I've reached out to FMA for representation, and if there's anybody that the board would like to see on that committee as well. But it does ask for 1 teacher, 1 administrator, 1 principal, 1 parent, and 1 non-parent resident. And it can be more than that, but that's the minimum requirements.
I'd volunteer if you need a board person.
Awesome.
I know it doesn't list that, but if you need an extra body, I'm.
Love to have you.
Okay. I'll
Love
do
to
it.
have you. Other than that, I just want to give a shout out to our finance department and Tony, her department. Bev and Carissa and our finance, they are working their tails off right now with all the action forms and the changes from traditional to a 4-day week and all that movement that's went to with the salary adjustments and stuff. So we feel pretty good about where we're at. They put in a lot of time, and so super happy with what they've done. Questions for me? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have our Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Miller. Please tell us about the audit.
Well, they are on site as of today. We have a couple new bodies, but for the most part, I'm familiar with them. They will focus this week on visiting with people on site about internal controls. They will also pull samples from 2 of the programs they're going to do single audit on, which means they focus a lot more depth in what they're looking at. It will be Title I and then all of the ESSER funds. So I'm busy giving them lists of payroll and expenditures that they can pull, that they can examine. And then once they leave, they'll just keep sending me lists by email. Our goal is to be finished by the end of October, which is a pretty lofty goal. I think that's kind of where we're hoping to land. So that's where we're at with audit. I wanted to just give you an overview of what you're going to be talking about in the discussion area with this lease. I have some talking points that Kim Crawford sent to me. She's the attorney with Butler Snow that draws up the documents for us. So you're being asked to approve a resolution which authorizes the district to enter into the equipment lease with Webster Bank. This lease is very similar to the other two that we had with Vectra and Sterling Bank in the past. The funds are going to be used for the energy improvement. When Millie was here 2 meetings ago, and they did the slide presentation, it basically covers the LED project, which is well underway, the theatrical lighting, the chiller rotation and replacement, and there was some plumbing, I believe, that was included, but not the full amount. So the lease will more than cover those. The district has put some of its money down already, but we have enough lease money to cover that. The payments are at 4.21%, and there's 2 payments a year. The total annual commitment is $431,747.68. However, in this budget year, 23-24, we will only be making 1 payment, which is $215,000. So the good news for that is you have to make sure when you enter in these leases that it is appropriated in your budget. And so the budget that we approved you approved in June, there's a tab, it's $4,000, $5,000, and that's where that lease is listed. I had overestimated what we would need to spend, which is really good news because we're way over appropriated and we won't have any problems there. We are anticipating that the savings will cover probably half of that lease payment, maybe more, but I don't want to be too excited about that. We'll just wait and see how that rolls out. The other thing you're going to have to, they're having you look at is an escrow agreement, which basically tells you who's going to be handling our money. It is the BOKF Bank, which is also the bank that we moved our bond money to, and they make sure that we make our bond payments on time. They will also manage this lease and make sure that money goes out to the company, the Webster Bank, on time. Let's see. The last thing is the actual equipment lease, which is a little lengthier, but at the very end of that lease, you can see when those payments are due. We are looking at a 10-year lease, which can be prepaid if we have the funds, which is always a goal of mine, just to get it out of there. So Bev will have some documents for some of you to get to sign when the meeting is over. So that's for you to discuss when we get to the next section.
Any questions for Tony? Thank you. All right, next up we have discussion items. First, item A, revised gifted and talented handbook for 23-24. Ms. Cosman.
Hi, everybody. So CDE actually reinterpreted gifted identification law, so that was kind of what spurred me to change the handbook. And the gifted education department is actually undergoing an audit come the spring, so I really wanted to make sure our handbook was in order before that happened. So on page 3, I changed the definition of gifted children to match the updated definition that CDE came out with into 2020. I believe the last handbook had 2015, so I included the gifted child and then also the twice exceptional child in that definition. On page 6, I just changed a little bit about the referral process. The school district is really trying to strengthen the multi-tier system of support across all departments, and so I wanted that to also reflect in gifted education. So before receiving a formal referral, I want to make sure that we have an MTSS meeting or a data meeting with the students' teachers to really look at their body of evidence and what indicators they have of giftedness, so that way we can really cater their cognitive testing and give that student the best shot at showing their abilities. And I also put in a window to accept referrals, which would be September to March. That's really from a programming standpoint to make sure that we are serving those gifted children. We all know that April and May, coming from a classroom perspective, those get a little crazy with CMAS and other state testing, and then also field trips. So I felt it was appropriate that September to March was an appropriate time to accept referrals. I will screen spring norm reference data to make sure that any students who do bubble up in that I can initiate a data meeting or a referral process for them. But I like that window just to make sure that we were keeping it within a good programming standpoint. And then on page 8, this is kind of where it really gets into the nitty-gritty of what CDE changed. They didn't change gifted education law or identification law, they just reinterpreted it. That was their word for it. So instead of needing 3 data points across 2 areas, you only need one qualifying piece of data with a robust body of evidence. So that was also why I really wanted to make sure that we were having that initial data meeting before I accept referrals, and then I wanted that to be in the handbook so that everybody knew they had reinterpreted that law. On page 10, there was a flow chart before. I updated it to include that first initial data meeting at MTSS. You can kind of see in that green bubble there that that would be the first step before receiving a formal referral. So I just updated the flow chart a little bit. I think it's a little bit more colorful than what was in there before, but pretty much the same other than the data meeting or MTSS meeting.
Is that your
On
body
page
of
11, this was the body of evidence review chart that CDE came out with to help the identification team who is deciding on identification of gifted children look at the robust body of evidence. So this is what we will be using with myself and the teachers of these students to look at their qualifying data points to really build that body of evidence for making the decision of identification. On page 12 and 13, I just did some little charts to go over quantitative and qualitative data, and then the 4 areas of qualifying data points. I thought this was important for students, parents, and anybody who has a stake in gifted education to be able to see. And then 18 to 20, CDE had revamped all of their nice charts, so I just made sure that our handbook had the updated charts that came out in 2020. And then lastly, the advanced learning plan on page 24. I just included a little bit more information about what an advanced learning plan is, what elements are in an advanced learning plan, and how advanced learning plans are initiated and monitored at different building levels throughout the district. Elementary and middle school will be pretty much the same. They're a one-year plan with parent input, teacher input, student input. High school is where it gets a little bit different. The high school students are going to be the ones writing their goals this year, and their monitor status, if you want to go down a little bit, Bev, sorry, I included a chart in here. There we go. Their monitor status of their advanced learning plan, level 1, is usually for juniors and seniors, where I check in electronically on their advanced learning plan. Level 2 would be your freshmen and sophomores, where myself or their advisory teachers are checking in more often to make sure that they are working hard to attain their goals. And then level 3 is reserved for those students who are really struggling. If I talk with the high school advisory teachers and they feel like they need more support, this is where we can kind of intervene. But I wanted to make sure that parents and students and everybody else kind of knew how advanced learning plans were being written and utilized at different buildings. So that's it. Are there any questions?
This looks like a ton of work. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice
And it's
work.
been since 2015 it was updated? This is
I believe Cindy updated a little bit last year,
year.
but the definition,
Right.
I just noticed it was from 2015, so I want to make sure I had the most recent definition.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you,
job.
Jane.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, is there any other discussion we need to do about the Early Learning Ventures funding opportunity? I think you guys did a great presentation. So, are we good? We good. Thank you. Next discussion item, any other discussion on the equipment lease purchase agreement, escrow agreement, and resolution to approve the lease? Discuss it more during the vote, but I don't think I hear any questions. So discussion item D, policies, first reading. And Bev put in the corrections that we will be voting on in 2 more readings. So any questions about those?
There's a lot.
There are a lot.
There's a lot.
Most of those seem to be statute.
Mm-hmm.
Changes in statute.
Yeah, I would imagine. So I know we still have some policies we have to change for the 4-day school week, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing policies and policies. Yay. Okay, so if there's no questions about that, moving on to the consent agenda. We have the personnel action report and list of checks for July of '23. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown? Aye. Rob Cruz?
Aye.
Amy Grantham?
Aye.
Nancy Hopper?
Aye.
Katie Jess?
Aye.
John Proudy?
Aye.
Melissa Smith?
Aye. Next, action items. Action item A, revised gifted and talented handbook for 23-24. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown? Aye. Rob Cruz?
Aye.
Amy Grantham?
Aye.
Nancy Hopper?
Aye.
Katie Jess?
Aye.
John Proudy?
Aye.
Melissa Smith?
Aye. Action item B, early learning ventures funding opportunity. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown? Aye. Rob Cruz?
Aye.
Amy Grantham?
Aye.
Nancy Hopper?
Aye.
Katie Jess?
Aye.
John Proudy?
Aye.
Melissa Smith?
Aye. Action item C, equipment lease purchase agreement, escrow agreement, and resolution to approve the lease. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and I think 3 seconds. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown? Aye. Rob Cruz?
Aye.
Amy Grantham?
Aye.
Nancy Hopper?
Aye.
Katie Jess?
Aye.
John Proudy?
Aye.
Melissa Smith?
Aye. Action item D, and Mrs. Brown, you are allowed to vote on this item if you like. Action item D is approve board member Mrs. Chris Brown abstaining from vote. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown? Aye. Rob Cruz?
Aye.
Amy Grantham?
Aye.
Nancy Hopper?
Aye.
Katie Jess?
Aye.
John Proudy?
Aye.
Melissa Smith?
Aye. Action item E, approve the employment of Mrs. Chris Brown as a substitute for the district. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Good job.
Thanks, Chris.
Yay. Roll call, please.
Chris Brown? Abstain. Rob Cruz?
Aye.
Amy Grantham?
Aye.
Nancy Hopper?
Aye.
Katie Jess?
Aye.
John Proudy?
Aye.
Melissa Smith?
Aye. Action item F, and same goes. Got it. Approve board member Mrs. Katie Jess from abstaining from vote. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown? Aye. Rob Cruz?
Aye.
Amy Grantham?
Aye.
Nancy Hopper?
Aye.
Katie Jess?
Aye.
John Proudy?
Aye.
Melissa Smith?
Aye. Action item G, approve the employment of Mrs. Katie Jess as volleyball coach at Fort Morgan Middle School. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Thanks, Katie.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Roll call, please.
Chris Brown? Aye. Rob Cruz?
Aye.
Amy Grantham?
Aye.
Nancy Hopper?
Aye.
Katie Jess?
Abstain.
John Proudy?
Aye.
Melissa Smith?
Aye. Advanced planning, to echo Rob, the CASB Region 1 meeting is next Monday, August 28th, 2023. The next Board of Education meeting is September 18th. That sounds so long from now because we have Labor Day. So that's why. And then if there's nothing more to come before this board, we are adjourned at 7:48 p.m.